Here we go. Alright guys, what's up? Welcome to DL Live. My name is Richard Terrell, I go by Kirby Kid, and this is Design Oriented. We do websites, blogs, Discord, streams, and videos, YouTube channels at Design Oriented, our Twitter's at Design Oriented, and our Discord link is in our Twitter. Fun fact, Advance Wars is my favorite strategy game series of all time. I played all 4 games and S-ranked quite a few missions in my day. And now I have a friend on the voice chat who is getting into Advance Wars for the first time. So I am taking this opportunity to play this online version of Advance Wars with him and talk a little bit about strategy game design. So he already made his move. He made some mech units in this tank here. I got some money to work with. This is kind of crazy, but that's alright. I'm going to make one of these. When you click something, apparently it reloads your whole web page. that's fine. We'll deal with that. I'll make one of these, and then I will. How much money do I have? Like 600. Okay, I'll save it. Cool. It just never hurts to have another one of these, though. And it never hurts to have another one of these. Okay, so I built some infantry and a recon unit, and I'm planning on putting pressure in the middle of the map. Let's see what happens when. How do I save my turn? How do I do this?
That should be a little end button there.
In the menu button? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Scroll to the side on your turn. Yes.
Side, street.
Alright, so now it's Adrian's turn. He gets an email saying you're playing a video game. So this is one of the classic maps. It's called Bean Island Classic. It was in the original Advance Wars. I remember playing on it. And the maps can either come with pre-deployed units, just pure, building structures like this one, or a mix between building structures and pre-deployed units. And this is obviously the pure build. So how you decide to spend your money and what you do from the get-go is all on you. You get $1,000 per building that you own per turn. The tank on the left that Adrian built moves 7 per turn. But it only can move that well in roads, so we can easily make a choke point and see what happens. Cool part about this game is, you can already see that there's a lot going on between the units that you have, the terrain, and then these buildings, these colored buildings that you can take over and do stuff with. I feel like a lot of games try to make deep strategy even without having enough complexity on the screen to even have that happen. It's kind of ridiculous. Like they're obsessed with being quote-unquote deep instead of actually making good gameplay that is also quote-unquote deep.
Does it update in real time for you?
No. Unless I...
Do you have to refresh the page every time?
Well, I would only see it after you... Well, we'll test it after this, but Adrian is coming over the mountains. Set path. Check damage. Wow. There's a lot of features that are... So here's what every unit has, right? Every unit has an ability to move, or you can do nothing on your turn. Delete. That's not an option. Check damage. Oh yeah, you can just delete your units. That was so funny. There's been very few times in Advance Wars where I use that actually strategically. I need this unit out of here. And I guess that little pressure, their building strategy I told you about, Adrian, where you make them waste money, they could just delete their unit. But I guess that's a victory in another sense. My unit has full health, 10 out of 10. Full fuel, 80 out of 80. You use one of these per square. Full ammo. The recon has infinite ammo. 8 movement per turn. Vision's 5 in Fog of War. There's no Fog of War here. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to take my dude and move it. It's going to show me all the places it can move. I'm like, don't mind if I move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're safe. And move that. Cool. I'm gonna move. Don't mind if I move. So there's no point in me being on the road immediately. So I'm gonna park on this mountain because it's basically equidistant to where I'm trying to go. Don't mind if I move. This way it's maximum movement. Don't mind if I move. And he can travel on the road because that doesn't really matter. Hopefully it's not too choppy. So I just moved all my units up, and now that I saved a little money from last time, I gotta decide what to do with this $1,500. It's almost as if I calculated it perfectly to buy one of the most expensive units in the game. Check range. Look at my range. So I got this initial area pretty clear. That solidly covered, I think, and no more money to spend. So we end our turn, pass it to Adrian.
It actually did update their positions in front of me.
That's nice. Did you have to keep hitting refresh?
Nope, I didn't have to hit refresh that time. It just did it right before me.
Wow.
My eyes. Let's see.
It's like it's a video game.
Yeah. Let's see the range of this guy. Check range.
So I guess in the meantime, I can check move. This is how much that little unit can move. It's 2 for the mech units and 3 for these infantry. Just going over stuff that, I know. We're just letting you know that I know. Let me see if I can move his unit. Nope. Good programming. What else can I show you? This is the headquarters building. If you capture that of your opponent's side, you win automatically. If you destroy all the units that they currently have on the screen, you win automatically. So, it's important that you build enough units to keep yourself alive, kind of like in StarCraft. In StarCraft, you have to destroy other buildings, but in this, you're like, nope, I just killed you. Too bad. If you, what is it? What's the other win condition? You capture them, you destroy their units. I think that's it. I thought there was one more. Can't remember. So, I think one of the subtle things about Advance Wars that instantly gives it more strategy than 99% of the games on the planet is, one, it's on a grid. Lots of games are on a grid. Lots of games use space. That's fine. But the thing that Advance Wars does is it creates matchups, unit matchups, and Fire Emblem could really take a page from their own book because they're both made by Intelligent Systems. And I'm pretty sure they write down stuff, and I'm pretty sure they have to deal with their own pages. So, I can see you checking your range. Is that what you're doing?
Oh, you can? Yeah, I was checking. The heck?
I see what you're doing. So, one of the things that instantly makes this game have a lot of strategy is not just moving your units into places to get close to your opponents, because you do that in just about every game. You get in close, or if it's a range game, you stay far away and you shoot them. But the fact that certain units can only be so effective on other units just opens the door wide open for formation-based interplay. So like this unit here, my little infantry, this guy really only does good damage against other infantry, and it can actually do quite a number to this rocket, which is a highly expensive unit, but all the indirect attacking units in this game cannot fire back when you fire on them until they made the freaking cheap anti-tank. Oh my gosh, I don't understand. It's a nightmare from another day. But in a later Advance Wars game, they make a range unit that when you direct attack it, it fires back on you. It fires back on you pretty strongly, and when it's camped on a building with like freaking +4 defense because it's on its headquarters and it's healing every turn, just getting an anti-tank off requires the use of like a rocket or at least 3 other strong units. It's ridiculous. But anyway, that's not in this game, so we don't have to worry about it for now. Consider this infantry can only hit things that don't hit back and other infantry. You know, it can shoot just about every ground unit, but this machine gun weapon that it has, not strong against armor, or mostly for the most part. So oddly enough, even though this rocket here has great range and does mega damage, like I'll show you the range. Let's check range. Alright, look at that. Big range, even though it has this like hole in the middle. Don't worry about that. And let's, is it my turn?
Yep.
Oh, you instantly gave me the ability to move. So this unit would do 50 to this, 56 to that, if it could hit it. 85 because it's on the road and roads have less defense. 72 because now this is on the road. And you're like, oh, that's great damage. Even though it has great damage output, defensively, it's one of the weakest units in the game. It's classified as a, whatever. It's weak. This other indirect attacking unit, the artillery, does less damage, has less range, but it actually defends itself better against infantry than these rockets. So that's pretty funny. Nice little... So when you have... I mean, look at all the complexity. I wrote an article about this. Lee, I gotta show you guys so much. Sorry, Adrian. You knew what you were getting yourself into.
Yep.
So let me pull up an old blog post. Critical Gaming Advanced Wars. Advanced Wars. How many times have I talked about this game? The interplay of Advanced Wars, deep difficulty design, all over the place. Oh, I talked about its scoring system and deep difficulty design, which I'll throw this article up on the screen. Right here, let me see what it looks like on the stream. Hey, and make it even bigger. So yeah, I talk about the really subtle but well-tuned difficulty design system of Advanced Wars Days of Ruin, and this article, link will be down in the description, don't worry. But before that, I talked about, where is it? Right here. Boom. I talked about just the interplay of Advanced Wars and how, basically what I'm describing to you now, what does it say? I'll just read it. The factors like how much ammo, fuel, movement type, and movement speed, how much each unit costs to produce, as well as the actual map layout affects the usefulness and potential of each unit to a large degree. To generalize, there are only a few mechanical counters in the game. Basic rules. You attack with your unit to hurt other units. Your units automatically counterattack if they're able. You build a specific unit to counterattack what your opponent has. So this is looking at what they have and you build countermeasures. For indirect attacking units, like I was explaining, they have holes inside of their range so they can't even attack you if they wanted to. So pushing close into them is a really cool counter. And then, hiding things in the fog of war. We're not playing with fog of war, so don't worry about that. So the fact that some units... We won't go there yet. I'm going to play my turn. So these are all your parameters you're negotiating with Advanced Wars. And each one of these is important. Fuel is probably the least important. It actually does matter in bigger maps and in weather conditions. But for now, fuel, you have 50 squares you can move, and you're probably never going to burn this before this unit blows up. 10 health. Ammo. Some units with the more powerful shots, like these rockets, have 6 shots they can do before they need to refuel. Movement. Then they have a range, and then they have a sight range in Fog of War, which adds one more wrinkle to it. So Adrian's moving up on our stuff. He's got his jerk here because he's a jerk. Adrian. So what we're gonna do is put this one here. Nice little block. He's got like all of his units up in my face. I don't think this map is balanced. They're supposed to give the second of the player to start second, like a small, maybe they did give me a spatial advantage, or a small money advantage, and it looks like it's just dead even. Oh, I have like one more tree around my base. Is that my my compensation? You piece of trash. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna move this unit.
Oh, right. I just saw just now. Yeah, you have one more tree, one more mountain. The top is also a little different too. You got one more mountain.
Excellent, he said. We're gonna move this here. check the range. It covers these buildings and this choke point pretty well. Okay, we don't need to check that anymore. We're going to use this recon. I was going to go and pester his face, but he blocked it like a jerk, and then he has his things backing it up. This recon is good in Fog of War. It's not really good otherwise. I mean, I could use it to back myself up, but let's leave him for now. I have like no good units out here, but that's okay because we're gonna move and put pressure on his units. Capture. So these infantry, only the little people units can capture buildings, and they do it based on how much health they have. Each building has 20 capture points, so if you're full health with 10, you can do it in 2 turns, which is ideal. Now I have just enough money to buy a mech and a tank. I don't like this formation. Maybe I'll mech spam you. That was a... Oh, they have pipe runners and mega tanks and neo tanks. Those aren't supposed to be here.
Yeah, I remember those from Dual Strike.
So you do you? Why not? Okay, so now I built my units. I got my little duck here. Did I not attack? So you have to... I didn't get a chance to attack with my dude. Now he's just... Oh, there we go. Fire. Cool. So that was a cheeky little strat that is basically a pin. Adrian went with a lot of power here and only 2 capturing units. And to play the long game, you need more money. So getting more buildings first is important. We'll each get 1 building initially, but then I weakened his other ability to get capture because I weakened this infantry right here. And I have more infantry spreading all directions across the map. So he's going to have to defend in multiple areas at once. We're going to go ahead and pass the turn back. See what he does. While I talk... There we go. Just put it in the middle of the screen. Okay, so... Yeah, so when all those parameters are important, I'll click it again. So like your health is important for offense and counterattacking, capturing in the case of these little infantry and mech units. How much fuel they have is important for long battles. How much ammo they have. These mech units can like pack a punch and do some mega damage on armored units like tanks and stuff, but they only get 3 shots per little human dude. It's not a lot, considering that even when they counterattack, they use that ammo for the most part. So like, oh, you can make your enemies use ammo, which means that even a unit at 1 health could be useful in the right circumstances. You can force your enemies to kill them, to get through you, or to waste ammo getting through you. Like so many different subtle possibilities for its interplay. But with the objective of moving through the map, destroying the opponent's units, and capturing buildings and capturing their headquarters, you've got many different sort of goals you can set for yourself. Some that seem easy to obtain and some that are worth risking. You know, capturing their headquarters means you win the entire game flat out. So as you do that, you're going to need different units, and just looking at these different units, it's so neat. I can't bring it to the list right now. Let me see what I got in my tools. Set draw. I don't know what I clicked. Hopefully I'm not ruining everything. I don't know what I just did. Yeah, the weather, the funds. I don't know what our powers. I don't know how much meter we have.
Your turn.
Okay, cool. I got an email. Okay. What a waste. What they waste, Adrian. What they waste. So, you learn to put pressure. Oh, it's not my turn yet. Maybe I gotta reload. Cool. Oh, you moved your jerk down. Okay. Slowly. So this little infantry guy, on normal land and grass and whatever, he can move 3. But over mountains, he can only move 1 mountain at a time. But these little mech units are troopers. They can move 2 mountains in a single freaking day, in a single turn. So they have trade-offs. You know, trade-offs are the most obvious way to start creating some interesting choices, because the give and take, the push and pull, the pros and cons makes different choices good for different things. And when they're not equally good and not good in the same ways, that's when you really have to think. And people like that interestingness. That's why we call it interesting choices. So let me go ahead and... So he's got some long range units here. Check range. He's got his mech unit that can only go here and attack here. So we're going to do something a little unprecedented. Unprecedented. No, we're not. Sometimes I capture a building halfway and then I get off of it. And when you get off a building, when you're capturing it, it goes completely reset. So it's kind of an all or nothing kind of thing. So I'm going to look at my range. I can't. Okay. 1, 2, then 1, 2. Whatever. Capture. This tank can roll up in here. And I'm going to stop measuring things. It doesn't matter. This tank is going to roll up in here. And the only thing that can hit me from that distance is the tank. So might as well put this here because he's more defensed. And this rocket was keeping everyone at bay. Only kind of, though. So we're going to move right in his face. Up, 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 up. We're just going to overload the top section and take it over. We're going to use some fast moving these units and take it over. We're going to force him to move his long-term guy, and we're going to head that off with some units that we've been building since the beginning. We have to leave this guy here temporarily, but we have enough money. I just don't think indirect units are going to win this war. I think they're too slow. So I'm not going to build those. And now I have 400. Let's do that. Because we're going to play the economic battle anyway. Your move.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Let me hit the right button. I don't need to move the rocket. Wait. Yes. The little notifications they give you just in case you didn't mean to do that are funny. Like, did you mean to waste this unit and not do anything? Like, yes. This time. Because Adrian has this little unit here, because he has the same economic output that I do, he's actually going to have slightly less money. Hopefully. Did it take away your money? Some of your money? to repair that jerk? I don't think it did, unless I'm not refreshing properly. Well, it was supposed to take away some of his money to have this guy here, which will put him just outside of the tax bracket, as I like to say. Yep, water. It'll kill you. I should lean forward. I wish I could play some Advance Wars music in the background. And by wish, I mean I'm doing it. That is some garbagey quality. That's some garbagey GBA quality sound right there. But the covers for Advance Wars are so nice. I don't want to step on other people's musical YouTubing, so I'm just going to play the GBA muddy music. Oh yeah, like this. I think ultimately, I gotta keep talking about the strategy. Alright, not just listening to music all day, is that what you're saying? You came to this channel to understand game design? Fine. So, the units can't hit each other evenly. And every unit can't hit every unit, and every unit isn't equipped with the weapon to do meaningful damage to every other unit. And in fact, I'll show you the damage table. That's not the damage table. Nope, that's not it either. Time to battle. Let me find the damage table first. I'll just pull this over here. Advance Wars Wiki damage table. This is good enough. So, behind the scenes, this is... What? Music? I didn't tell you to stutter briefly. Okay, behind the scenes, this is what's happening in Advance Wars. I'll zoom in. I'll zoom in some more. So, the attacker's down here. The defender's over here, I believe. So whenever you attack with an infantry and another infantry, you just have a slightly over half damage. Whenever a mech unit, which is the ones that move shorter, attack an infantry, you do more damage. Whenever a little recon, which is a fast-moving scout, attacks an infantry, you do 70. And as you can see, a tank does 75, a medium tank does overkill, neo-tank overkill, artillery does 90. And this is when they're not standing on any piece of terrain that offers any defense. This is flat damage. Anti-air wipes them out in one hit, typically. So you're like, whoa, infantry are like some of the weakest defensively, but check this out. I told you the rockets, right? They have like no defense. When you're an infantry attacking a rocket, you do 25% of its health. It should be more than that. When mech unit does 85 to it, which is like a 3,000 cost unit taking out most of a 1,500 cost unit. That's crazy. But see how everything, defensively, the rockets take tons of damage from just about everything. Over half, well over half, one shot, you know, like that. But then check it out with the other long range unit, the artillery right here. Less damage, same, slightly less, a little less, and a little less. So for some of the early units, you take 10 to 15 points less. So defensively, your artilleries are doing all right, which is kind of cool. But look, little infantry, when it's fighting the biggest tanks, can only do 1% of damage, roughly. Did you pass it back, Adrian? Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Let me... You say check my email? Is that what you just told me?
Yeah, check your email.
So Adrian exposed himself down here. And I will capture it. This is when you start to put your initial pressure on. Long-range artillery units don't matter because when they move into place, he moved this one to you close, but when they move into place, they can't fire on the same turn. That's the biggest drawback of range units like that. So I have this tank now, and I can start messing up people's faces. I like messing up people's faces. Do 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 do. So we're just gonna do an overload strategy, and we can't stop this guy from capturing. That's okay. This guy has done his job. I don't think he actually did anything. I'm gonna check the range. Hey, not close enough. Cool. We're gonna start overloading the baseline, but not to get blasted. So let's check out. He doesn't want me to heal on my own building, which is fine because I don't need it. But then he's gonna, in order to do his damage, he's gonna have to freaking make his choice. So I'm actually gonna overload that as well. Like, make your choice. Make your choice. Just your voice. Oh, I got in my own way. I didn't mean to do that. That's fine. This is Andy's theme. Or Sammy's theme. Alright, Sammy. So he's gonna have to pick where his units concentrate his attack power and how many of me does he think he can actually assault in one go. And he's gonna have to make a choice because we're making him make the choice. Do I want tanks? I think I want tanks. I think I want tanks. Yeah, I think I want tanks, but I also want recon. But as we can see in the damage chart, recon don't do hardly anything. Actually, they do a decent amount to artilleries and rockets. We're doing it, but the bam, tanks suck. We're gonna buy some recon. So like the subtle balancing of things like this, where you're like, oh, it's just tanks and everyone builds tanks. Like the point of having a game, oh, I'm about to buy the wrong thing, that has any kind of balance is stuff like this. I have 5,000 left for the next round, and Transformers and roll out. There you go, Adrian. This is very different than how I would have played when I was first learning it when I was a kid. That's right, when I was a kid, I played this game freaking when I was calculating age. When I was 13 years old, 13, 14. Wait. 14, yeah. Well, IGN gave it such a glowing review, a 9.9, taking off 0.1 points because when playing in link cable play, there's nothing for the other player to do while the one player makes their move. Like right now, I can click on Adrian's units and check him out. Couldn't even do that during link cable play. So they docked the game at freaking 0.1. Would have gotten a perfect score. I was so mad, but I'm not mad. Okay, so the unit's inability and ability to... So everything is wrinkly. Let me just pull up another article because when I see the words, I just got to pull up the articles. So if you imagine a design space, like if you imagined all these units in Advance Wars, what if they all move the same and they all hit the same hardness, right? And they all have the same defense. Well, like then they'd all be quite literally by definition the same unit. So to make the game interesting, just on a base level, you start making different units. Like this is a tank. It's got to act like a tank. Well, how do tanks act? They move fast and hit hard, but they're expensive. This is a little foot soldier. Well, what can they do that tanks can't do? They can climb over mountains because tanks obviously have to go along the road for the most part. And all of a sudden, you start to get your smooth design space gets little exceptions and class differentiations and we call those wrinkles for the most part. So I wrote this article here called Wrinkles in Design Space. And you can, similarly how Pokemon has a really wrinkly Pokemon type matchup chart, the matchup chart in Advance Wars for the units are really wrinkly. Like this damage, it doesn't look as wrinkly. Maybe if you can just kind of eyeball these numbers, you're like, hey, it doesn't look as wrinkly. You're like, well, maybe you're just making stuff up because nobody can eyeball those numbers except John Nash. But besides that, Advance Wars has a lot more overlapping, wrinkly slices of design space, if you will. So, like, this is how the attacking chart looks, but movement-wise, this mech unit here is a... Let me see if I can bust this out to help you guys visualize. Let me see if this shows up on stream. Can you see this? Yeah, you can see it. Cool. But I need to make it a little bit more. How about a blue pin? And how about we adjust the thickness? How do we adjust the thickness? Customize? What color pops? It's green and reddy, so we need a color that's blue. Okay, cool, it kind of pops. So, this unit here moves 2, this unit moves 3, this unit moves 6, but best along roads, best along mountains, best along roads, best along most things including the forest and grass and stuff. This unit moves best along roads. It has like a movement of 8. The Recon. This unit doesn't move very far. It has a huge range, but it doesn't move very far. And it has tires for its freaking vehicle style. So this Recon has tires, and this has tires. They're the only 2 units in the game that has tires. Tires suck in the mud. They suck in the grass. They only are really good on roads. So while these units are high threats, they pretty much stick to the path, while these other units can kind of go crazy and move off on their own. As you can see here with this strategy, I went straight over the mountains. So while tanks and artillery, these have treads, and tanks have treads, so they have similar movement nerfs and bonuses on terrain. So even though it looks like the matchup chart is a whole bunch of specific information you got to memorize, like this, like when you actually start looking at the fiction, and because they were true to the forms as much as they could, You can just be like, oh, this looks like this unit here has treads. I wish I could show you a more zoomed in picture, but yeah, this unit does have treads. It's good for multi types of terrain, but it has no attacking power. See how there's no like gun mounted on the top of it? It's kind of a big deal. So the units don't move the same. Because they don't move the same, they don't get the same defensive bonuses. Like wheeled units like these have a hard time going through forests, like big time. So if you want this to get a defense boost, they're not going to be going too deep into the forest. Well, these guys can. They move differently, they attack differently, and then they do different things to the environment. Like only these dudes can. Yeah, only these. Oh, back to my turn. Only these dudes can capture. So let's go back to the game and see what happens. Look at you just trying to overload everything. Did you forget to capture with your mech unit?
What?
On the top?
It's red.
Oh wait. Well, it has a C on it. My bad. That C shouldn't be there.
Yeah. That was like one of the first things I did on my turn.
That was Sonya's theme. Very rare amongst Advance Wars fans. So this guy thinks he has the whole mountain range locked down. He does it. So now Adrian's making me pick between, do I want to capture this building or injure this guy? And since this is on a building, it's really not worth injuring him until I can really punch him in the nose. Do that whole bloody nose strategy. So we'll capture with you. Captured. So he's jammed up this entire area, and typically when people jam up, you need some unit variety to unclog it. So like, let's say he has his artillery, right? And like, these artillery, oh no, they're trying to kill me. Like, is it that big of a deal? Looks like I'm in range of everything. So what you do is you punch, and you strategically punch so that you get some kind of other advantage. So here's the advantage we're going for. Bloody nose strap. My whole upper area is going to be overwhelmed pretty soon. Okay, so I got a couple of units in range, and I got a couple of expendable units to soften the blow. I've overloaded this top area with enough different kinds of units to make this, to use this guy as a sacrifice. So we're gonna move him. I wish I could attack from the mountains. That would be so delicious. But I don't even think it's worth keeping my, it's just, there's just no way. They're all lined up there, unless I can punch through with more speed than this. Usually I would retreat. Let's see. This thing has such a big range, and I want to attack it from 2 points at once, which I can kind of do, but he's still on that building. And there's really no way I'm going to get into the safe zone, which is the idea. So we need to put at least 3 things going to pressure it. Move. I need to check my own range, but I'll just count it out. 1, 2, 1, 2. Right. Oops. Oh, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. What is up with these rockets? Jeez. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then check range. So this is the hard part about this scenario. Like, it just becomes like a freaking slugfest. Which we will engage in. So this is going to require a timing attack. I want to bloody something. Dang, that's a big range. I'm already in range. And backing out is not really an option. Except the only thing you can hit me with is one tank. So maybe backing out is the option. I think so. It's the problem with mobile attack units, indirect attacking units. First we're going to capture here. So now we have the equal economic advantage, but that's going to soon stop. Because now I took your dude building down here, so now I make a little bit more money per turn. And with that said, see how the infantry can just cleanly move through the forest like he ain't got no problem with it? Because he doesn't. Oh, I'm in range now. Let's assume I didn't do that. I'm tired. I'm tired. Well, if that guy wants to attack, what a freaking jerk. Can anything hit me in this crazy spot? Yes. So do we need that? He's got a choice to make on who he wants to hit, because I got a lot of guys that can roll up in here, and I'm not going to be afraid of one rocket. Because once you have the proper defenses of the buildings, that's really not that big of a deal. Till he shoots you with two freaking... Alright. Let's just do it. This is why we built the overloading strategy with these cheap units anyway. Let's just see it work. I probably should have moved that other unit right there. Let's try to get them off the streets as much as possible. And just for backup here, we're going to move you right here. Right here. Just to get some healing. Now that we have freaking money, what are we going to invest in? I'm pretty sure we're going to crack that defense up there, so we need to invest in something that can hit hard. Freaking mega tank! Okay, no. Let's just buy a medium tank, even though I almost never buy medium tanks. And let's save a little bit of money. I don't want you to be in the street. But that's going to draw his tank out. And if I draw his tank out, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, it'll actually be better for me. Cool. Adrian needs to talk out his turns too.
Oh, okay.
Nope, I'm talking. Let's go. What was that? I was saying something about design space wrinkles. So yeah. So when you understand that every unit kind of has, like, it's got to negotiate and finagle multiple axes of its effectiveness, including moving and defending and attacking and capturing and whatever. There's all these other subtle little effects they can do sometimes. Then you realize that, oh, just like in chess chess creates formations because you can only use one unit at a time, and every unit has a very specific movement style, which is very like simple: a line forward, a diagonal line, an L shape. But in Advance Wars, it can move a lot more, omnidirectionally. But then these matchups are what create those awkward holes that you can either, fill up like Tetris blocks and make tight formations, or you can leave all these holes in it like Swiss cheese. So this article here, The Interplay of Advance Wars, I'll show you the title. This one just goes over some basic examples of that, right? This is a fork. I borrowed all these terms from chess because obviously I'm making a chess comparison, and I'm allowed to do that because I freaking did the work instead of just saying this game's like chess. People who say that, one, don't play chess, and two, aren't good at those games that they're trying to describe as chess. So people need to stop that. I'm glad it's died down a little bit more over the years, but don't. Fork is a tactic where you use one piece to attack two or more of your opponent's pieces at the same time, hoping to achieve material gain. So right here we got these two aerial units. All I could do was take pictures off my freaking DS screen because Nintendo handhelds, it's been so many years of not being able to deliver quality capture. It's just been painful, but I'm glad the Switch exists now. So, this is a unit where, even though this is a rocket launcher, not rockets, those are supposed to be missiles. Oh, those are mech units. Oh, they're not planes. So 2 mech units are only going to move a tiny bit forward, and this rocket launcher can only hit one of them, and by the time you get inside the range of the rocket launcher, you win. So this is a fork. Pin is where you're like, if you move the piece in front, I'm going to get the piece behind you. It's a classic example. This is a skewer. No, that's what a skewer is. What is a fork? I need to read it. A pin is a situation brought on by an attacking piece in which the defending piece cannot move without exposing a more valuable piece. So it's like, haha, you can't move or I'll kill you. I'll hurt you harder. You're like, oh no. But the skewer is an attack upon 2 pieces in a line. And in fact, the skewer sometimes describes as a reverse pin. The difference is the skewer has more valuable pieces in front. So you're like, you better get out of the way, valuable piece. I'm going to kill something. Zugzwang is my favorite. It describes a situation where one player is put in a disadvantage because he or she has to make a move. The player would prefer to pass and make no move, but the fact that the player must make a move means that his or her position will be significantly weaker than the hypothetical one in which the opponent chose not to move. Very hard to find an example of this in Advance Wars, but I illustrate one here with my fuzzy imagery, and I describe it here in my fuzzy language. Intermezzo is for intermediate move. It's a chess tactic in which a player, instead of playing the expected move, commonly a recapture of a piece that the opponent has just captured, you first interpolates another move imposing an immediate threat on the opponent, and then you play the expected move. So it's just like, haha, before I take that, I'll do this, and then I'll take that. Very cool. This is when you're starting to think in broader strategies and broader pressure than the immediate thing that you can guaranteed get. This kind of thing in any kind of strategy game shows a higher level of skill and competency. Battery, these are cool. A chess formation that consists of 2 or more pieces in the same rank, file, or diagonal. It's a tactic involving planning a series of captures to remove protection, or to remove the protection of the opponent's king, or simply a gain in the exchanges. So you're like, I'm just going to ram down your throat. And I made this tiny little bridge level, and I showed that in one move, you can pretty much eliminate the entire team's defenses if you can create an appropriate battering ram. So on and so forth. I have more examples. I'm tired of reading. Is it my turn, Adrian?
Not yet.
Okay, cool.
Thinking's hard.
That's weird. I never actually thought about the game this clearly before. Well, I really haven't played a multiplayer match in forever because I really didn't like them. But I think I didn't like them a lot because I didn't fully understand it. And also, it just takes freaking forever. It's just so long. What time is it? And this is a small map, and it's already 11:15. I should be asleep.
Oh my god. Well, it's a good thing we can suspend and continue another time.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That is true. Yeah, this is why I played a match of Advance Wars, I think 3 or 4 players with my brother and Matt, who's also on the Discord. And we were hanging out at a convention once. And we were like, yeah, taking turns and enjoying it. And then, like, it took forever. And I think the game cartridge popped out and basically just erased everything. We're like, yeah, we're done. Like, he just takes so freaking long. But as we draw this video to a close, hopefully you get to see a little bit more about what I'm explaining and how the strategy is coming into play. I really probably need to make my next turn before ending. But Fire Emblem doesn't have this. Fire Emblem is a RPG. It is not deep. You could call it tactical. You probably should call it tactical because you got to position things and worry a little bit about positioning. But it's so not a strategy game. The fact that you're just playing a whole bunch of relatively simple RPG style encounters with you better attack, and heal, or you better eliminate them as much as possible before they can even have a chance to retaliate. And that's pretty much high-level Fire Emblem play. And the fact that the randomness of missing and the 3 times damage of crit puts so much unpredictable variance into the game that to mitigate that and squash that, you have to play like such a chicken, or else lose permanent characters that may be important resources in the long game that you can't really accurately plan for because it's like hours and hours down the road and levels you haven't seen if it's your first playthrough. None of those things make Fire Emblem a good strategy game. They actually make it a terrible strategy game, so much so that I just call it an RPG, flavorful, sometimes tactical RPG. And even then, its design space, its variation of its missions runs out in like 10 or so missions, and the game has like 30 plus. So like, oh my gosh, like how many times I'm going to be just doing the same basic maneuvers? And sure, I like the idea of deciding when to bring weaker people in and how to protect them using your stronger people and spreading out the experience and distributing the items and protecting your strong weapons. Those are all neat micro things, but it's set on top of a very shallow base, and it's one that, like, I played Advance Wars GBA, and I played to completion Fire Emblem GBA, and then Fire Emblem Awakening. That's really all the Fire Emblem I need in my entire lifetime. And I played all 4 Advance Wars, and the mission variety and the units and everything's just so much better, so much more interesting. Some of the most advanced formations in Fire Emblem just involve using flying units and like loading up multiple units and then unloading them strategically and like penetrating the opponent's defenses because freaking you put on a super strong knight and nobody can hurt those knights at the beginning of the game. Some other fancy ones was how some of the final missions in the Advanced Fire Emblem GBA had some pretty tough opponents that came out in waves, and you know, you can use rare items like the light runes to hold them back and manipulate your power player so you can take on the threats in a manageable way. That's kind of cool, but those missions are kind of rare. Not to mention the fact that Fire Emblem has this huge stack it up problem when you're inheriting abilities to your babies and your next generation, and you have like Luna and I don't even know what all those things are called, but what are you talking about?
What's this nonsense about inheritance?
Oh, like Fire Emblem is a series where one of the reasons people like it a lot is that you can, you know, match up your favorite characters and then they have babies, and then the babies grow up and fight alongside you.
That must be a new thing they added then.
Nah, maybe, I think it was been in some old ones and they brought it back for a few of the new ones and people liked it. But essentially, like if you compare up any of your male and female characters and you can look at their traits and be like, this guy has this broken thing, this guy's got this broken thing, and you can pretty much make a baby with both broken things and then make more babies. I think, I don't know how deep the little inheritance chains go, but I heard people were really stacking that junk up. And I talked to one guy who went all the way, and I looked at his team and it was just like untouchable because of these buffs. which is why like stacking things up is a great way to flatten your design space, because instead of making a trade-off, instead of pros and cons, you just get pros and pros and pros and pros and pros, and then once everything, it's just a matter of like how many pros you have. It's 6 versus 8, and then you're like, this game is just not a lot of wiggle room for weaker things, and 2, it's about a very narrow margin in which you're trying to eke out a small advantage instead of like this cool spatial based formation that you see in Advance Wars. And once your character gets that strong in Fire Emblem, you just stand in the middle of the stage and then nobody can beat you anyway.
Your turn.
Cool. Let's see what Adrian did. Why is he trying to ignore my unit? Why is he trying to do it? He picked the wrong unit to attack. Tack, 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 tack. I'm singing Pokemon. You built a Neo tank? That's cheating.
It is?
They're not in this Advance Wars. It doesn't matter. Yeah, the Neo tank and the Pipe Runners are not in this. Pipe Runners were jerks. I think they were one of the few units that could move and attack in the same turn. Indirect attacking units. Or maybe that was the new battleships in the latest Advance Wars, which really made them worth it. That was cool. Okay, let's see what we can do. So this will be the closing remarks. I have a unit here that took a little damage but healed up a little bit. As far as direct attacking units, Adrian has 2, worth noting, and everything else is indirect. Let me get out my visual aid right here. Okay, so indirect. That's an ugly circle. Indirect. This does nothing. Let's get another color. Not red. Black. Direct. It's skinny. That's fine. And direct. These are his only 2 attacking units that can even potentially threaten what I got going up here. And let's compare that to my direct. And if we count infantry, I have one more, and he has a weakened one and one more, and kind of a guy in the back. And this guy, I have my direct, so I have more direct attacking units. And if I attack his direct attacking units, even if it's indirect attack me, he only has like 3 of them. And if I eliminate all of his direct attacking units and survive with more, he could at best eliminate mine, and I'll have a little bit left over to just kind of punch up his defenses. So I should do this in an effort to gain an economic advantage. I have many more capturing units here and on the way anyway. So here we go. Check this unit. It only used 1 of its shots. That's fine. So this guy, and I can do check damage. Dude, 46. Is that enough to take him off this building? Because if so, then I can punch out his artillery from behind and punch out his mech here, which is why I have this guy up here. Or I can keep sneaking him across the mountains and just take over buildings from behind him. But really, the choke point and the way this match is going to be won is all right here. Adrian has the ability to build units on the left and attack me if I try to overextend and capture that. So really, it's all about what's happening here. So I'm thinking that'll be my first move, and that's contingent on this. Oh, I'm Max. And you're Andy?
Yeah.
How much power do I have? Are powers disabled? Oh, it's down here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is this your turn? I don't even know how many bars this is. Let's see. 28% of the bar, really? I guess we just haven't done that many turns. That's alright. I think the more things you kill or get killed, you get bar, and we just haven't been killing that much. So, clear. Let's move this unit down and hope he kills. He's gone. And now his defense has a hole in it in which we can punch from the front and back and just punch on the way down. We can ignore weaker tiered units, but this guy can move in here and attack one or two of those. Let's see. I don't see a lot of point in attacking a mech unit here because I can roll up from any of my other units and attack that. So I'm going to do this. Now that thing's weakened. And now I don't have to worry about anything temporarily from this. And now he has one more attacking unit that I'm afraid of. You know, he's got this tank down here, but I'm on a defensive building. The only way he can hit me is from a non-defensive position, which is why he's clambering himself up in the road and why I didn't want to do that. Okay, so there's a couple of guys in my way making the move I want to make. So let's see what we can do with this next tank. I mean, I feel like putting things into danger is the name of the game because I can always retreat once I punch them properly, do the bloody nose strat. So check this out, this chart. Mech units against infantry only do 65, but mech units against tanks do 55. And even though it looks like it does more to an infantry's cost 1,000 and tanks cost 6,000. So money saved is money earned. We're going to make sure that this mech unit, we're going to bloody his nose a little bit. And we can do that with any number of weak units. But first, we're going to do what I should have done long ago. Right here. Since I got hurt the previous turn, I also healed a little bit, which is worth it for this maneuver. You are down to 9, and now I'll take this guy here, and I don't want to move. I don't know if clicking wait disables my attacking phase. Cancel. Check damage. I want to attack this dude. I don't know how. I don't know why. And I don't know why I can't check my range on that guy. We'll leave him for later, but this guy's going to get his nose bloodied. It's going to make Adrian waste even more money because that's an expensive unit. And let's move up our guy from the very back and see where he wants to be. Recons do how much to a tank? 6. That is one of the lowest freaking values in the game. Golly. So that's not what I want to do. And since this recon can't do anything else, we're going to set him up to where he's going to get ready to punch people's noses. Fire. Now he can't capture that on the next turn, so this thing's pretty much useless. It's no useless. Move my tank out. I really wish this could go a little bit beyond the road, but that's fine. So we're gonna blow up this mech unit. Oh, 38 is not enough to blow it up. You're so weak. Well, let's see if the tank can do that then. Why isn't the fire working? There it is. Now you're down by 1, boy. That's a quote from the late great. Because we have support coming up, I don't think we have to worry about... We don't need to give that tank anything to fire on if it doesn't already have it. And since we already trapped him in pretty well, let's right here, and now you can't get to that, and then we're gonna move this guy in a range where he can come in and mess up their face right here. 1 2 0 1 2 2 2 2. And then we're going to how do I attack with a rocket that's just waiting here? Do I move on its own position? Is that what I did? I don't know how to attack. Why won't my unit attack? Maybe.
Oh, I know why.
What?
I think it's because you're max. Its range is...
Oh, it's smaller. Oh. And they won't let me check my range either. And that's my only indirect attacking unit. Haha, that's a good observation. Doesn't pay to be max right now. Oh, there goes that plan. If only it let me check my range.
So it's just the same as a rocket, just -1.
You're saying it's anemic. That's not good. Oh well. It doesn't matter. I have $11,000. $11,000. I just bought a unit because I felt like it. Alright. Now I'm going to power down the stream. And I'm going to say Adrian's turn. So I hope that gave you guys a good basic look at strategy games and how, even though the game doesn't look like much, I mean, I guess you could say it looks like Super Chess, right? Not only do you have units, but you have all this terrain and all this color coding. So I guess it does look complicated, but in general, you can get some pretty deep games when you really know how to respect space and make it to where, formations are relevant and trade-offs happen. The game Go seems to be super deep and super elegant. I don't have a lot of personal experience with it, but sometimes I feel like people who've never taken a game to a deep level, especially a game like this, they shouldn't even want to make a deep game. You shouldn't want to make a deep game just because people think deep things are better than shallow things or whatever. You should make things that you enjoy from your own experience and quit trying to reach too far outside of your personal experience, right? Because you won't even know what you're making, and you won't know how to target these very fine, specific tuning values if you have no idea how formations work, how they feel, and how to make them emerge out of your gameplay instead of just like trying to hard code them, right? How to make it to where the play of the game is negotiating these spaces instead of you better do this or else. So this is a pretty cool basic look at Advanced Wars. For the next few stream sessions, we're going to talk about RPGs, and some of them straddle the line between RPG and strategy, like Pokemon, and then we'll continue our discussion of just how troublesome RPG elements are. So until then, I'll see you guys next time.